If you're a mobile deer hunter or would like to become a mobile deer hunter, you clicked on the right video. I'm going to explain 3 mobile hunting deer strategies that work guaranteed. Number 1, hunting diverse habitat. As a mobile hunter, you're able to get places many hunters could never even dream about getting, carrying lightweight, low cumbersome gear that a lot of hunters just don't have these days. You have a huge advantage being able to get to these habitats that converge together, that hold lots of deer sign, and increase your odds of shooting deer and seeing a lot more deer in general. Diverse habitat simply means 2 different habitats that come together. Examples of diverse habitat include swamps up to swamp edges, field edges up to thick woodlots, creeks going through the woods with lowland brush, acorn flats, thicket off to the side. There are many examples of diverse cover, and the more diversity you have in the area, the better the chances deer are going to be there. If you can find 3 or 4 different habitats coming together, you've just increased your odds in that respect. Being a mobile hunter gives you the opportunity to find those diverse habitats. I can't tell you enough how many times I've walked past hunters set up in woodlots because they just can't make it back to where you can go as a mobile hunter. With a mobile hunter carrying a light stand or even a saddle, you can go 2 or 3 miles back if you want to. You can set up in these really tight, really thick areas that a lot of hunters aren't willing to go to because they're carrying too much and they're just not willing to put in the effort. The majority of hunters are not mobile hunters, but you being one is going to set you apart from most of the other people out there. So while searching for these diverse habitats, you got to be aggressive. You got to be right on that edge. You got to push those deer a little bit. My favorite quote from Dan Infold is, if you're being passive on deer, you're teaching deer. Meaning, if you're being passive on deer and holding back and you're not really pushing the envelope and getting close for that shot, they're going to find out where you are. They're going to find out where hunters normally go, and they're going to say, whoa, I'm not going there, but I'm going to stay back in this thick stuff where most people and predators just aren't willing to come and find me. You're teaching deer by not being aggressive, and finding diverse habitat usually means finding thick cover, and you got to get in there where most hunters will not go. Number 2, hunt fresh sign. Now, before you click out of this video and say, oh my gosh, this is obvious, everybody knows to hunt sign, the key word is fresh sign, and fresh sign means 48 hours or less since the sign was put down by the deer. If you think for whatever reason that the sign you're seeing is older than 48 hours, move on and try to find fresher sign, because deer feeding patterns change all the time. So you've got to keep up with where they're going. Set up on the hot sign that day and you're going to increase your odds of seeing deer and especially getting a shot at one. The 5 signs include scat, rubs, scrapes, tracks, and beds. If you find those things and you believe that they were put down or being used 48 hours ago or less, you're in a really good spot to start setting up for some deer hunting. So that raises a lot of other questions. What does fresh scat look like? And a lot of people get confused with this. Fresh scat simply means it looks a little damp, not because it rained the last couple days, but because it was just put down. If it's rained within the last 48 hours, you can't use that to determine whether that's fresh or not. You also can't use morning dew. So if it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon and that scat is looking really fresh, that's probably just been put down there, and that's a good indication that you might want to consider setting up in that area. When rubs are fresh, they're bright and there's wood shavings peeled off of the bark there, and there's also a lot of wood shavings normally on the ground right below the tree that was just rubbed. If they're a little dull, or if those wood shavings are completely gone, there's a good chance that rub was not put down recently. Fresh scrapes. Usually that means that the dirt is messed up a little bit. It hasn't had time to settle. You can smell it, it's a musty smell, and you can sometimes even see the urine right inside the scrape. Tracks. This one's a little bit tricky. Now, leaving snow out of the picture, just look for wet ground, wet mud that hasn't been dried up yet. That's a good indication that they were there very recently. Deer beds. Lots of people get messed up on deer beds. What you need to look for is matted down grass, really pounded down. And the best beds don't even have grass because grass can't grow there. And bucks have been living in these beds year after year after year, and it's actually pounded down, so it's nothing but dirt underneath them. Another indication for fresh bedding is when you can find hair in it. Sometimes that happens as well. But if you see grass that's starting to come up or leaves that have fallen, and it's on top of the bed, that is not a fresh bed. It's not been used in a long time. Best case scenario for finding fresh bedding is when you see fresh scat around the bedding, browsed off plants around the bed, matted down or even dirt, and then when you feel the bed, it's warm. So check for that sometime when you see a really, really matted down bed. Number 3, avoid hunting open sign. With the exception of the core rut period, bucks don't leave sign during the day, and you need to be where the bucks are during the day. You're not going to hunt bucks at 2 in the morning. Bucks generally leave sign in open woods at night because they feel safe walking through there. I fall into this trap sometimes as I'm walking to my thick cover on swamp edges, or I'm walking through a select cut forest with trees every 20 feet, big mature maples and oaks, and I'm seeing rubs, I'm seeing scrapes in the middle of nowhere. I'm just thinking, why is this here right now? This makes no sense. I can't pattern the transition. There's no diverse habitat. What's happening is that they're going through there at night between feeding areas, and they're not going to be there during the day, with the exception of the core rut period where they're willing to make those mistakes, let their guard down, and come out and expose themselves a little bit more. This is public land we're talking about. This is not private land. You've got to realize that if you're hunting open land where you can see a long ways and there's random scrapes and random rubs going on, that's not a good place to set up to hunt. I promise you, you're going to waste your time. Now, every once in a while, a blind squirrel finds a nut. It can happen. Bucks make mistakes. But if you want to increase your odds of seeing a lot of deer, hunt that fresh sign, thick cover with diverse habitat. I promise you're going to increase your odds, not just by finding sign, but quality deer as well. By being mobile, you have a huge advantage. Why waste your time sitting in a place where you're probably not even going to see a deer in that open woodlot, when that's where all the other hunters are anyway, putting down their scent and pressuring the deer back into the thick stuff that you're able to go to because of your mobile setup? If you walk back with a saddle and a little backpack, you can go for miles. Put on some rubber boots and just go. Find the sign. If you don't see hot sign that day, well, then don't hunt. That happens to me all the time. I won't set up in a place where I don't see good sign. I'm just wasting my time. I learned that from Cody DeQuisto. He does that all the time with his hunting. He puts his hang-on stand on his back. He walks and walks. If he doesn't see fresh sign, he keeps moving till he does. And some nights he doesn't even see fresh sign, so he doesn't hunt that day. He doesn't want to waste his time. It's tempting when you see old rubs in the middle of big woodlot on the side of a maple tree like this, and then right next to it's a huge 100-year oak, and over here is a huge maple, and over here is a big ash tree, and they're 20 feet apart and everything's all open. It's tempting to sit there, but take advantage of being mobile. Get into that thick crap, set up on the edge as close as you can to water, preferably. You'll be amazed at not only the sign, but how many deer come out of that, and you'll definitely increase your odds and have a much better hunt, and you're not going to see a lot of people. That's the best part. All right, so let's review. Number 1, hunt diverse habitat, where at least 2 different types of habitat come together. Number 2, hunt fresh sign. It's got to be fresh, 48 hours or less. Number 3, avoid open sign. Don't be tempted. Unless it's the rut, move past it and keep on going. Now, what I'm about to say is probably the most important thing I'm about to tell you throughout this entire video, so tune in. In order for this entire strategy to work, all 3 strategies need to be used at the same time. 1 out of 3 is not going to work very well, but 3 out of 3 will work. I can summarize this entire video into 1 sentence. Hunt fresh sign where habitats meet in thick cover. If you do all 3 of those things, every time you hunt, you're going to have more success. So I've developed these strategies over the years because I needed to change myself. I wasn't seeing a lot of deer. I wasn't seeing a lot of deer sign. I wasn't even seeing bucks really. I would see the occasional doe and I was getting really frustrated. So I developed these 3 strategies because I needed to change as a hunter. And in order to do that, I need to be honest with myself, really get out of my comfort zone. It's not comfortable walking past really nice sign in open woodlot with an easy tree I can get up right next to the parking lot. That's tempting. It's not easy walking back through that woodlot to get to a swamp in the thick cover a mile back in the middle of nowhere just with a flashlight and a compass. When I first started hunting, I was in a permanent stand, hoping to see a deer pass by, and every once in a while I would. But in order to increase my odds and have a great hunt and to be fulfilled with every single hunt I do, whether I see a deer or not, I need to implement these 3 strategies. And when I did, it completely changed everything. You wouldn't even believe it. After implementing these 3 strategies just discussed in this video, I immediately started seeing more deer, bigger deer, and best of all, way less hunters. And overall, I find myself enjoying the hunt a lot more. I'm excited to get out there. I'm expecting to have good luck. I'm expecting to see that deer that I'm targeting. Before I was just hoping, but now I've got the confidence to go out there and say, I think I'm going to see something tonight. And overall, I just love getting out there because of this now. I found something that works, and if it works for me, I'm guaranteeing it's going to work for you. Make a list, put on your phone, ask yourself, is this a diverse habitat? Is this fresh sign? And am I in thick cover? And if you can answer yes to all 3 of those questions, you're probably going to have a really good night. I dare you to find out. All right, everybody, thank you so much for watching. You take care, be safe out there. We'll see you next time. Bye.